So, today's lesson is going to be about sound. So I have a question. How do we hear sounds? We're not going to answer it right now. We're going to answer it at the end. But you're going to be thinking about it as we do this project. How do we hear sounds? And I'm going to tell you that sounds travel in waves. So can you guys make some waves? They travel in waves, and they're all around us. And this part of our ear, if you do this, you say, hey, what's up, dog? Can't hear you. That part of your ear is called your outer ear. And the reason it's shaped like that is because it's trying to catch the waves, right? So it catches them. And then that's when the sound starts its journey. Now, I'm not a very good drawer, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to try, right? Because we still try things that we're not so good at. So I just ask that you don't laugh at it, because it's not going to be that good. But I do have a picture I can show you after you see my picture that's done much better. So our outer ear kind of looks like that, right? A little bit.
That's good.
Thank you. So that would be our outer ear, right? And how does sound travel? Can I see? I want to see, I don't want to hear. Yeah. In waves. So these waves come into the outer ear, and they go into what we call the ear canal. And that's that hole in our ear. That starts our ear canal. And at the end of our ear canal is our eardrum. And we're really going to be focusing on our eardrum today. And the eardrum is that part that we say, be careful not to stick things in your ear, because your eardrum is very important and it's very fragile. And it's at the end of the ear canal. So you don't want to stick a pencil or anything and hurt the eardrum, because that's really where the hearing gets started. Okay. And so I want to show you a picture that's drawn nicer.
That's actually nice too.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Really? I know. I could have drawn that.
So here's a picture somebody drew of the outer ear here, just like my outer ear. And then it is a little more confusing than my picture. And then it goes through here, that's your ear canal, and this white part is your eardrum. Okay? So it looks a lot like my picture. And then, good question, Elia, what is next? Right? And we're not even going to talk about that. We're going to focus only on this part, which is called the outer ear. And it's called outer because it's the things we can see. Right? It's on the outside. And the eardrum starts the inner drum. I'm sorry, the inner ear. There's just one drum. But that's part of the inner drum. And it's just the very beginning. And today we're only going to be focusing on the very beginning of those sound waves going into our ear. And the way we're going to do that is exploration. So you're going to be creating an eardrum so that you can test out how it happens. So when you do an experiment in science, what are two things every experiment has?
A question.
Always a question. Good. And that's actually a third thing. I wasn't thinking about it. We have a question. What is our question?
How do we hear sounds?
How do we hear sound? That's our question. Good. We have a question. What else is in an experiment?
So like, you gotta use different items to
Absolutely.
see what happens.
Yes. What is it we're going to use? And they're items, or we might call them materials.
Yeah.
Right?
Materials, items.
You've probably heard materials, which means items. Exactly. They're synonyms. So the materials we need. So the materials that we're going to be using today are aluminum foil, a rubber band, a cup, and then we're going to use some rice or some beads at the very end. So these are our materials. What's the other part of an experiment? We had the question, which I wasn't thinking about. That was great. The question. We have materials. What else do we need to know for our experiment? Yes?
You can write stuff down.
we're gonna have to write something down. What am I gonna write down? The materials are what we need, and I didn't write them down. I could, right? Cup, aluminum foil, rubber bands, and rice or beads. What else do I need to write down in the experiment?
Stuff that you're gonna do.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do with these materials or items. And there's a big word we use in science experiments for that. I'm not sure if you know it. Do you know it?
Instructions.
Instructions works. Another word sometimes scientists use is procedure.
I've heard that.
You've heard of it before. But it means instruction. Just like items means materials, it just means the instructions or the directions, right? A lot of words have the same meanings. They're called synonyms. So the directions are this. You take your cup, you put your aluminum foil over your cup, the outside of it. And then you put a rubber band to keep the aluminum foil nice and tight. It's going to stay there a little bit, but the rubber band's going to make it stay even tighter, which is important. So that's the procedure. And I have it written down on a piece of paper for you. But that's the procedure. So looking at, oh, I erased it. Thinking about our picture of the ear. What do you think is over here? Not the eardrum yet. Your outer ear. And what do you think this is? The ear canal. And what do you think this is? The eardrum. So you're going to make this. And when you have this ready, I'm going to give you, you're going to raise your hands and let me know you're ready. I'm going to give you some beads. And you're going to put them on top. And then you're going to tap a pencil. And you're going to be observing to see what, this is interesting, right? Because it is about how we hear sound. But we're going to be watching the beads to see what they do. We're not really concerned about what they sound like. It'll be cool. They'll probably make a cool sound. But I want you to really be watching to see what they do. So right now, you're going to go back to a chair or a table. You might need to stand next to a table because we're all together. And I'm going to pass out a piece of paper that tells you the directions or the instructions or the procedure, so many words for that, and some questions that you're going to be thinking about as you do this exploration. You have a question?
We got to bring it home.
You do.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. When you're going to tap it with a pencil, or are you going to do it on top or the bottom?
I think you should try both. Because a scientist is always curious. So I can tell you're a scientist.
You shouldn't hold it because then your hand's kind of taking the vibration and sound.
Oh, so you're thinking maybe you're going to try putting it on the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thought. So why don't we go, speaking of tables, let's go back to our tables now. And I'm going to give you a piece of paper with the directions. Thank you for sharing the tables so nicely. You guys are great sharers.
Can we write our name?
You can, absolutely. I don't know. We'll find you one, I'm sure. We're not a, we can maybe share.
All about David, I'm writing. Yeah. You don't have to read it. You have a lot of economic like I'll do it's spinning. I love You're for Oxalix. Oh, I got drinking juice, lemonade, white soda.
So, I know in first grade you're starting to read. Who can read? Who wants to read? I'm sure all of you can read it. Who wants to read number 1 of the directions? Will you please read it?
Okay. Use a piece of plastic wrap and stretch it over a cup.
Whoa! What's different there? Something is different than what I said. Did you notice what was different in those directions than what I said? Yeah, it said plastic wrap instead of aluminum foil. And you know what? I made a mistake. I meant to change that because I tried it with plastic wrap. Have you guys ever played with plastic wrap?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's very difficult to use. So I think aluminum foil is easier. So just pretend that it says aluminum foil instead of plastic wrap. Good job finding the difference. Number 2. Yes.
Secure it only with a thick rubber band.
Secure it. What does that mean?
Be careful. Softly. Softly.
Tighter? Yeah, if it's secure, it's going to be tight. Good, you're going to put it on there tightly.
And then you're gonna put it on like to make sure it won't like fall off. Like,
Exactly.
if you put a piece of
Secure, it's
paper
going to be
on the
secure.
table.
Good. Do you want to read 3rd? Great.
Drop pieces of rice in it and watch the rice bounce as the drum is lightly tapped with a pencil eraser.
So the drum is the top part, but Dylan had mentioned, do we have to just tap it on the top part? And what did I say? How did I answer? No, let's experiment like scientists and do it all over the
Or
place
maybe,
and see what's different.
or we could be mad scientists and just tell whatever we want.
You could do that. Don't be too bad, but you can experiment. Now, there's some questions I want you to be thinking about. Question A. Who can read question A to us? Yes, me.
What did you notice about the rice when you tapped the cup? Was there a difference when you tapped the top?
So you want to think about that as you're doing it. Because then you're going to write your answer. You don't know it yet. You haven't explored. What about question B? Yes?
How is the movement of the rice different when you tap slower or faster?
Okay. So you could try slowly tapping and faster tapping and see if it changes anything. What about question C? Yes?
How is the movement of rice different when you tap harder or softer?
Harder or softer? So try softly tapping
Softly
and then a little bit harder and see what the difference is. Thank you. That's a good reminder. Okay, so is everybody ready for their materials? Do you No questions? You're ready? Okay. So what are some of the materials that you need? What do we need first? A cup. Okay. So why don't you pass out 1 cup to everybody, please? Thank you. What was another material that we needed? Yes? Rubber bands. Okay. I have some really nice thick rubber bands. You can pass out a rubber band to everybody. And what was another material that we needed? Yes?
Tinfoil.
Good, right, because I put plastic wrap, but plastic wrap is really difficult.
Yay.
So tin foil, and I've cut them, and will you please pass out so everyone has. When you finish constructing your cup, what should you do next?
And put beads.
But you're going to have to raise your hand to ask for it.
Yeah.
And I'll know you're right. And then, once you have it constructed and you have your beads or your rice, you can begin experimenting. People who are passing out, remember to give yourself.
Do you want to trade?
Do you have one for yourself?
Do you want to trade? Thank you,
Rubber bands are kind of tough. If you need them, let me know.
Is everybody new? Want to trade again? Thank you. How do you want to trade I have a pen.
Yeah, and what's this?
I don't even know what to do. We need cookies. Thank you.
Here. I'll take it. Did you make sure you have one?
We have this. Should I help you? Yeah, I just
Please raise your hand when you have it constructed and you need some beads. We're going to use beads today because they're so nice and colorful and they don't smell like chicken like our rice.
Yummy rice and
So I'm just going to put a few there and then you can begin experimenting.
I need a roll.
Oh, sure thing. Rubber bands are tough. You can begin
Good, now just push it down a little. Wait, how does it work? Don't get the not that. Mine's not that easy.
start the experimenting.
Mine.
Oh, you know what?
Look at mine.
Oh, hey. She has an extra one. Perfect. Thank you.
Great timing.
That was good timing.
All of us.
Hey, Happy. You must have. Forgot this already. Forgot this without doing it.
You ready? Okay, you can start experimenting.
No, I knew that. It's really hard because it's all the other one on an extra.
You might have to press it a little bit harder.
You don't need an extra.
We're talking to that rice or the beads. Oh, I see some things happening over here. Oh, you're helping me. Are you noticing something? Oh, that's plenty. You don't need too many beads for the experiment.
How one?
One would work.
This is May. It's in May. Wait, can we put the beads in the cup?
You can put them in the cup or you can put them in your pocket as long as they stay in your pocket.
Yeah, put them in the cup.
There, you can
Mark, what do you need to do?
Don't lose them.
So once you've experimented, you can begin answering your question. You're on B already? Excellent. Did you already do the experiment? Well, what does it say? How is the movements of the rice or the beans different when you tap slower or faster? Have you noticed a difference? What are they doing? Yeah, it's working exactly how it's supposed to work. You did a great job. Those are a lot of white beads, aren't they? They're kind of hard to see. You can have one more bead. You don't need a whole lot. You wouldn't get to a You could when you're finished. Yeah, that's a great place. And then they make sound, right? But you don't get to see how they How is the movement of the rice different when you tap harder or softer? Not too hard, but you tap harder.
The rice when you tap and the cup under a bead when you tap it didn't bounce as hard.
Are they inside there now? So now, since they're in there, you can answer your questions. Yeah, it's because it's very similar to it. Okay, so about 1.5 more minutes, so you can answer your questions, and then we're going to meet over on the carpet without our eardrums. We're gonna keep our eardrums on the desk.
I did it. Look. How? What is this? Who?
So did you try doing it slower and then faster?
Yeah.
And how were they different? How did it change? Something happened when you went faster, didn't it?
Oh, there's one. How is the you want all those different here? I give
They
you
did?
one.
Why do you think they fell off?
Done. If I give you one, will you give me two back later? If I give you one, will you give me one back later? I have two. I have two of these. I have one. If I give one, you take 4, 5, 6, 7. Here.
Okay, so now we have half a minute to finish up your questions.
30 seconds.
That's right, 30 seconds is the same as half a minute. So when you're ready, you can come and give me your paper and then sit down on the blue carpet without your eardrum.
How is the
So, Kennedy, you look as though you're finished. Is that true? So you can bring your paper to me and come sit on the blue carpet without your eardrum or pencil.
I just put it on the chair.
No, I want to look at it. Thank you.
Oops. How is the movement of the race? I did that. And then this was supposed to go fit.
And Annabelle, you can come sit on the blue carpet. You don't need your eardrum. And I can leave the materials here. You guys could do this again if you want.
Hey,
Don't
my
worry.
headband. Yay! I do. Then I put them in my coat pocket.
Excellent. So
Oh no, now where did that pink one go? Sit down. There it is.
since you finished the sheet, you can give it to me and then come sit at the blue carpet.
Oh, I got two. I got them.
You can come over to the carpet. You don't need anything. You don't need a pencil and you don't need an eardrum.
Oh, I think I know how it goes. So it goes here, and it goes, then it goes there. I need oh yeah. That's loud. That's loud.
So since you guys gave me your pencil, you need to be, since you gave me your paper, you need to be sitting on the blue carpet. On the blue carpet. Thank you. I'm certain I didn't. I said sitting on the blue carpet. Thank you. So I wrote down some words that I saw on your papers, thank you, about the describing what happened to, we use beads instead of rice. I heard this word, I read this word a lot. Rumbles, bounces, jumps, hopping. I heard a lot of these. And so what happened when you went faster or slower? Did it change the way the rumbling was happening, or the bouncing, or the jumping, or the popping? Did it change?
Yes.
How did it change? What happened when you were faster or slower?
It bounced more.
When?
When you do it faster.
When you do it faster, it bounced more.
When I did it faster, most of them like fall off.
They fell off. So did they bounce so high they went right off the eardrum?
Yeah, they were like,
Wow, okay. What about when you were tapping it harder or softer? What differences did you notice? Did you observe?
like the harder bounce up and then.
Did that happen for other people as well?
No.
What happened to you?
Also, when I did it fast, I heard a sound and it went away faster.
The sound went away
And
faster.
when I did it slower, it stayed longer.
Okay, interesting. So you guys are making a lot of observations about sounds even beyond the eardrum. So if we were to continue this lesson, you already have a lot of ideas about what happens after the eardrum. But today we're only going to focus on the eardrum. But you're ready to learn even more about the ear now. I can tell that you're ready for that. And let's go back to our essential question. So how do we hear sounds? And it's what we observed. So we want to know what happens to those sound waves, and think about the beads as sound waves. What happens to those sound waves on the eardrum?
It happens when you like hit something or something happens like quick.
Well, what happened to your beads? What
They
were
jump.
the words?
They went out.
They jump. The sound waves jump on your eardrum. How else could we describe how we hear sounds?